Hello there and welcome to World News Program, streaming to you live on All 24 News. I'm your host, Karim Fazakri, and up next are the headlines. 32 Palestinians were killed in 3 new Zionist massacres in Gaza in just one day. The attacks include heavy bombing in Gaza City and Deir al-Balah. Meanwhile, rising temperatures worsen pandemic risks, and UN warns of famine spreading from north to south Gaza. While a ceasefire seems imminent between Gaza's resistance and the Zionist entity, clashes between the two parties intensify. The resistance targets Zionist soldiers near Gaza City, warning of retaliation if the occupation forces re-enter. That's next. Also coming up, Zionist forces arrest 9 Palestinians from Al Khalil and Nablus in the occupied West Bank. Also ahead, Algeria requests UN Security Council meeting on Gaza mass graves. President Abdelmajid Tebboune condemns events in Palestine as undermining international law and calls for stronger action. Stay tuned, we've got all the details right after the break. Hello again and welcome to the details. First off, in our news, in the Gaza Strip, Zionist forces have carried out 3 new massacres against families, resulting in the deaths of 32 Palestinians and injuries to 41 others within just 24 hours. The Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza reports a total death toll of 34,654, mostly children and women, since the start of the Zionist aggression on October 7th. Additionally, 77,908 have been wounded since the aggression began. Many victims remain trapped under rubble and on roads inaccessible to ambulance and civil defense crews. Among the recent attacks on Saturday, Zionist forces shelled a Zaytun neighborhood, causing casualties. They also bombed homes in other neighborhoods, including Sheikh al-Ajlin, Tel al-Hawa, and also Ard al-Shanti. Bodies of martyrs and wounded were recovered from targeted areas. In Deir al-Balah, 2 Palestinians were killed and 5 injured in an airstrike, while in Khan Younis, 7 decomposed bodies were recovered and search operations are still underway. In Rafah, 2 people, including a child, were killed and others injured in airstrikes on a residential area. Palestinians in displacement camps south of Gaza face worsening conditions due to heat waves, rising health risks, and also the spread of epidemics and diseases, particularly among vulnerable groups like children, women, and the elderly. Here's Zahra Farjani with the story.
Nurse Abdurrahman carefully examines the young girl's eyes, suspecting her of contracting a contagious disease. The spread of diseases among the displaced population in the Gaza Strip has reached alarming levels due to the unsanitary conditions resulting from sewage water accumulation in the camps.
Sewer pollution has led to the emergence of diseases such as hepatitis A and some other viral diseases. And of course, don't forget about contaminated food. Severe food contamination with the lack of water for washing and crowding led to gastrointestinal flu and other viral diseases.
The deteriorating health situation has prompted the UN agency's humanitarian coordination team to assess the extent of the crisis and its impact on the well-being of the displaced.
Behind me you can see the destruction in Sarat, in Deir al-Balah, from recent fighting, and what you can hear is a river of sewage from both broken pipelines.
As temperatures soar, staying inside tents become unbearable, compelling displaced families to remain outdoors. However, this decision exposes their children to the risk of contracting various illnesses.
To be honest, from dawn to almost 8 or 9, we stay outside the tent. The tent is only for eating and sleeping periods only. With heat and other conditions, children develop fever and other diseases that they cannot tolerate, especially newborn babies and young children aged 5 or 2 years, for example. They can't take it. Maybe adults can, but not the little ones. The sewage we currently have has caused for young children and older people to get skin diseases and liver diseases.
Instead of being a safe haven from Zionist occupation bombardment, the camps have become a primary factor contributing to their demise due to the dire health conditions that have reached unprecedented levels.
And in other developments, Cindy McCain, the executive director of the World Food Programme, confirms a widespread famine in the northern Gaza, extending southward after 7 months of aggression. The UN official describes the situation as horrifying and urgent, emphasizing the need for a ceasefire to deliver aid, particularly in the north.
There is famine, full-blown famine in the north, and it's moving its way south. What we're asking for is a ceasefire and the ability to have unfettered and safe access to getting to Gaza over various gates. I really hope that we can reach a cessation of hostilities and start feeding these people, especially in the north, much faster.
A delegation from the Islamic resistance movement Hamas in Palestine arrived in Cairo on Saturday to continue negotiations for a complete cessation of Zionist aggression in Gaza. The movement, alongside other Palestinian resistance forces, aims to finalize an agreement fulfilling key demands: stopping the aggression, withdrawing occupation forces, returning displaced individuals, providing relief, initiating reconstruction, and negotiating a prisoner exchange. The Palestinian resistance targeted a gathering of Zionist soldiers on the supply line of the Nazarene axis, southwest of Gaza City. Al-Quds Brigades, the military wing of the Islamic Jihad, shared scenes of the operation using mortar shells and lava. Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade's Fatah's military arm warned against Zionist forces returning to Gaza, vowing it would be hell for them. They released a video showing rocket launches towards occupied territories, emphasizing ongoing missile strikes and readiness, concluding with a stark warning to the occupation forces. Settling illegally on Palestinian land, mainly in the south of the occupied West Bank and in the Jordan Valley, settlers have dispossessed forcibly Palestinians from their land, supported by the complicity of the occupation forces, another front on which the Zionist entity is playing to divert the attention from the carnage taking place in Gaza. Here's Salman Asib with the story.
From his village of Deir el-Jarir, Haidar Abu Mako grazes sadly at the grassy hill in the Ramallah region, where settlers' flocks of sheep graze. It's a land that rightfully belongs to him, yet he's barred from accessing it by extremist settlers who claim ownership.
The shepherd, a newcomer to these lands, behaves no differently from any other shepherd. In the eastern regions, his actions have barred my access to my rightful land, robbing me of the joy and benefit it brings. Moreover, he has denied all the residents of Deir Jarir the rightful access to their own lands, of which I am an integral part. I firmly believe that the camera has accurately captured the encroachment of the shepherd onto our territory, land that rightfully belongs to my ancestors, meant to be safeguarded and passed down through the ages.
3 million Palestinians reside in the West Bank, an area under Zionist occupation since 1967, with close to 490,000 Zionists residing in settlements considered unlawful according to international law, thus appropriating Palestinian territory.
The settlers have effectively barred access to extensive land areas surrounding their Jarir, disrupting both agricultural activities and grazing opportunities for residents across vast stretches of territory spanning tens of kilometers. This problem isn't isolated to these particular lands. It forms a barrier that obstructs residents of their Jarir, Taiba, and nearby communities from reaching the lands which stretch into the Jordan Valley region.
By placing a shepherd with a flock of sheep atop a hill, a significant portion of the land is seized, preventing Palestinians from accessing it. These settlers seize houses, tractors, horses and donkeys, vital tools and symbols of traditional Palestinian agricultural life.
The entire eastern region has been invaded by numerous hillside shepherds who are settlers, are residents of Taiba. We cannot access the olive groves that rightfully belong to us. I feel a sense of helplessness in our inability to act. Neither I nor the other inhabitants of my country and region have the power or strength to confront the heavily armed settlers. We are defenseless against them and their weapons. This renders us powerless.
The settlers located in the shepherd outpost are armed and use attack dogs and drones to threaten and assault Palestinians, sometimes killing their livestock and destroying their property. Another display by the bloodthirsty Zionist government, attempting to divert attention from the tragedy unfolding in Gaza.
And in another development, and as you followed on the headlines, Zionist occupation forces in a massive arrest campaign detained 3 Palestinians from Masfa or Masafar, Yalta, south of Al Khalil, and from Sebastia, northwest of Nablus, along with 1 from Douma, south of Nablus. The United Nations Security Council will convene a closed meeting this week at Algeria's request regarding the mass graves in Gaza, as reported by the Palestinian news agency. The meeting is likely to occur next Tuesday, with unspecified sources briefing the members on the agenda. Previously, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged an independent international investigation into the mass graves at Al-Shifa Medical Complex in Gaza City and Nasser Medical Complex in Khan Yunis. Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune denounced the events in occupied Palestine as violation of international law and human rights during his representation by Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arbawi at the Organization of Islamic Cooperation's 15th Islamic Summit in Banjul, Gambia. President Abdelmadjid Tebboune criticized the international organization's failure to enforce decisions of international legitimacy, including the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, in response to the war crimes and genocide committed by the occupation.
In the face of these crimes, the international organizations and institutions, despite their professed commitment to peace and dialogue among civilizations, appear politically powerless in enforcing universally recognized decisions like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In occupied Palestine, they seem to have abandoned all notions of humanity and civilization. As there is a stark absence of law, principles, and values, the situation in occupied Palestine represents not just a violation of international law or a breakdown of the global system founded on shared principles, but a direct attack on the legitimacy of international law and human rights. When we witness an occupier in Palestine cloaked in the guise of humanitarian values, depriving an entire population of their humanity and right to exist, what significance then remains for human rights?
The Algerian president urged more decisive approach to compel the international community to fulfill its responsibility in protecting Palestinians and halting criminal acts against civilians in all occupied territories.
We must unite on the global stage to bolster the Palestinian people's quest to reclaim their occupied lands and secure their rightful entitlement to establish an independent state with Al-Quds as its capital. It's imperative to embrace a more decisive stance, urging the international community to fulfill its obligation in safeguarding the Palestinian people and halting the criminal acts perpetrated against defenseless Palestinian civilians throughout the occupied territories.
And on the same occasion, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to defending the Palestinian cause in the United Nations Security Council.
Algeria emphasizes the critical link between dangerous regional developments and the denial of the Palestinian people's historical right to establish an independent state. We condemn the overlooking of the occupation's crimes and the failure of the international community to enforce international law. Algeria pledges to advocate for our group's concerns and defend the Palestinian cause in the Security Council, urging the international community to take responsibility and end the humanitarian tragedy.
Algeria, in coordination with the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, discussed the agenda of the Islamic Summit and ways to enhance the OIC's role in defending Islamic issues, with the Palestinian cause in the forefront. Algerian Prime Minister Nadir El-Arbawi held discussions with OIC Secretary General Hossein Ibrahim Taha, emphasizing the need for comprehensive reform within the organization to address various challenges effectively. Despite police intervention and arrests, students' activism in solidarity with Palestine has surged across universities in multiple countries in Europe, Canada, and Australia, demanding an end to Zionist aggression in Gaza. Sofian Kinturi reports.
Students' worldwide protests against Zionist aggression in Gaza have ignited across college campuses globally, sparked by the arrest of demonstrators at Columbia University in April. These movements have gained momentum. At University College London and in Havana, dozens of students gather in solidarity, mirroring protests in the US and beyond.
We consider it inexcusable to wake up one more day knowing about the genocide that is taking place today in Gaza, knowing that children, young people, the elderly are continuing to die, knowing that today I'm here at the university, and tomorrow I'll still be here, but I don't know what my colleagues in Gaza are going to do.
Meanwhile, at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, students camp out, their voices united against the Zionist aggression on Gaza. Their resolve echoes the sentiments of protesters elsewhere, amplifying the call for justice and peace.
Those of us who are here just want to do our little thing for the cause. Maybe sometimes we want to go out and find solutions, change the world, but actually we can also bring about change with small actions.
However, criticism mounts as the Russian Foreign Ministry condemns US authorities' handling of pro-Palestinian demonstrations, deeming it harsh in violation of US laws. This international scrutiny underscores the significance of these protests and the global resonance of the Palestinian cause. As student-led movements continue to amplify the call for justice, these protests serve as a testament to the power of solidarity in advocating for change on a global scale.
And in other news, Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, represented by Prime Minister Nadir El-Arbawi, urged a comprehensive approach to tackle Islamophobia during his speech at the 15th Islamic Summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in Banjul, Gambia. President Abdelmadjid Tebboune stressed the importance of collective efforts to combat terrorism and address hate speech and extremism targeting the values of coexistence.
Our responsibility as members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation compels us to collectively commit to defending our just causes, foremost among them the Palestinian issue, and to confront any attempts to undermine the sanctities of the Islamic nation. We must work according to a comprehensive and coherent approach to address manifestations of Islamophobia. Our collective commitment to combating extremism and terrorism and rejecting hate speech must be met with a fight against hate speech and extremism, targeting our values and the promotion of coexistence and the enhancement of a culture of openness and tolerance.
Still with the same topic, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune reiterated Algeria's call for necessary reforms within the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, aligning with a resolution initiated by Algeria.
Achieving these noble goals requires a reconsideration of the organization's governance and the implementation of necessary reforms in accordance with the resolution adopted at the initiative of Algeria to ensure its alignment with multidimensional challenges and to confront risks.
And in another African development, the first international media conference in solidarity with the Sahrawi people concluded in the province of Boujdour in the Sahrawi refugee camps, announcing the establishment of the Federation of Journalists and Media Professionals concerned and in solidarity with the Sahrawi cause. The Federation aims to unify media efforts to inform the international public about Sahrawi developments, establish an information network, and send journalists to various Sahrawi territories. Participants stressed the importance of protecting Sahrawi rights and the pivotal role of journalists in this endeavor.
Today we are holding the first international media symposium in solidarity with the Sahrawi people in the Sahrawi refugee camps. But in reality, it is a symposium in solidarity with all oppressed peoples who struggle to live in freedom and dignity.
We are here to participate in this symposium in solidarity with the Sahrawi people. As a journalist delegated by Algerian television to cover what is related to the Sahrawi issue, it is very important to work in a network with international media professionals who are in solidarity with a just cause, which needs media promotion, especially in the Arab world where we stand on a decent journalistic representation when it comes to covering what is happening in the occupied Western Saharan territories.
And in another development, but still in Africa, hundreds gathered for a demonstration in front of the United States Embassy in Ouagadougou, protesting Washington's call for an investigation into civilian killings. The demonstrators, mainly traders and private sector workers, waved Burkinabe flags protected by riot police and chanted slogans against imperialism. They expressed opposition to what they viewed as an interference in Burkina Faso's internal affairs.
It's manipulation. To say that the army is killing people is completely false. So we say they are the United States. It's the same United States that burned Libya. It's the same United States that burned Syria. We know that very well. And in Palestine, it was the United States that burned down the Gaza Strip. We are here to show the United States that Burkinabe people are sovereign. The Burkinabe people are taking the lead. If there is someone who can defend Burkina Faso, he will do Burkina better than those people.
All right, let's catch up on more news stories making headline around the globe with Osama Ayadi this time.
Russia launched an overnight drone attack on Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv, and Dnipro region, injuring at least 6 people and hitting critical infrastructure, commercial and residential buildings. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization reported on Friday that global food prices rose for the second consecutive month in April. It was the first time they rose. The organization confirmed that it was the first time for the prices to rise in consecutive months in more than 2 years. As the Paris Olympics approach, France's anti-fraud services began spotting violations related to services. The committee affiliated with the Ministry of Economy, which is responsible for consumer protection, indicated that dishonest practices are related at this stage mainly to the hotel sector. Labour's Sadiq Khan has secured a historic third term as London mayor, seeing off Tory challenger Susan Hall. It followed wild rumours that the incumbent could have suffered a shock defeat, although both sides subsequently said they believe Mr. Khan would win.
And with this, ladies and gentlemen, our news program comes to a close. Thank you for tuning in to our channel. And if you would like to catch up on any of the stories that we watched today, you can always visit our social media platforms. That's it for today. Thank you so much. Have a good time.